Good afternoon and welcome to IB There, our weekly live stream in which we connect with digital advertising ecosystem. I'm Derek J. Smith, Director of the Experience Center here at the IAB, and in today's session, which is titled Viewing Success in Gaming Advertising Through the Programmatic Lens, we'll be discussing key findings from this research and hear just how these misperceptions are being addressed from the programmatic point of view. With that said, today we're excited to welcome to the show Andrew Casson, a Senior Director of Agency and Enterprise Partnerships at Equative, and Aditi Ramesh, Director of Programmatic US at Anzu.io. But before we get into today's topic, Andrew, can you briefly talk about the work you all are doing at Equative?
Yeah, Derek, thanks for having me on. So Equative is the unification of a legacy supply side company called Smart Ad Server, and then two powerful demand side companies called Liquid M and Dynamic. And so we rebranded and merged into what is now Equative. And Equative is, building out kind of the first kind of full stack independent global supply platform out there. And one of the areas that we wanted to focus on was an area that we knew that would be very powerful for brands and agencies, and that's the gaming vertical. So we've been working out on building, a globally curated marketplace to access in-game advertising and different gaming type of supply for brands and agencies.
Nice. That's great. Now, we also have here with us Aditi from Anzu. Aditi, Anzu has been in the gaming and advertising space since 2017. Can you briefly share what is Anzu working on now in this space?
Sure. I think we all know what in-game ads are, but they sit natively within the gaming environments on 3D objects like buildings, billboards, or on sports stadiums, mirroring ads that you'll expect to find in that real world, right? So on Zoo's placements, they're non-intrusive. They're designed to complement that gameplay. They put players first and they enhance that realism throughout that same experience. And our solution, our SDK and our SSP allows for advertisers to programmatically serve those ads within the placements across any gaming platform, whether that's mobile, PC, console, metaverse. And so before, scalable programmatic in-game advertising really was only thought of to be like mobile games. But our founders, they saw this opportunity, reset this way of thinking, and introduce in-game ads to respect gamers rather than interrupting them whilst they were actually playing, because they saw that the gaming industry was evolving in terms of you were no longer constrained by the device that you owned to actually create a solution for all gaming platforms. And so that's what we're up to.
All right.
Thanks for having me, Dirk.
Oh, thank you for joining us. And actually, thank you both for those introductions about your companies. So let's jump into some topics, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So recently, as you both know, we wrapped IAB Playfronts 2023, the IAB Experience Center's marketplace event for all things gaming. Now, several companies shared their insights and opportunities for brands to be a part of the in-game advertising space. And IAB Research shared its own insights via a study titled "Finding Success Within the Gaming App." Finding success within gaming advertising, perceptions from the buyers and the sellers. And so today we want to talk with you both about this same information from the programmatic point of view. And so the study did identify 5 key misperceptions among media buyers regarding gaming advertising around cost and value, quality activation at scale, delivering full funnel objectives, measurement, brand safety, and receptivity. Now, Andrew and Aditi, you have identified a few of these that we're going to speak to directly. And let's start with number one. And it goes to you, Andrew. It's costly for brands to get started with in-game advertising. And so there's a variety of price points and ways to get into advertising and gaming. So can you, Andrew, explain and give our viewers some perspective on cost and what it takes and what it depends on to get into in-game advertising?
Yeah, no, I think there was this perception that like any emerging media channel that came out, that there was this perception that it was only big brands and big budgets that could get into this type of environment and activate across this channel. I think programmatic advertising has obviously made digital media supply in general more accessible, and I think that goes the same for programmatic advertising. I think that obviously based on the different parameters that brands and agencies are looking for, formatting options, targeting, the size of the campaign, all the kind of unique things that go into understanding the type of campaign that they want to run. Anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1,000 you can activate programmatically in-game advertising today, and it takes, and it is seamless to do that, and it isn't this kind of large hurdle that's, I feel like, is being perceived to achieve this. I mean, in the past,
Mhm.
obviously that might have been the case, but the way technology has evolved on the digital media buying side, that it's easier now today for brands both big and small to get into this channel and reach their audiences and create unique experiences for their brand.
All right, so you said that it's easier for brands to get into the channel, but my next question for you is, are they actually being able to find value in these types of campaigns that they're running?
Yeah, I think brands are starting to realize the value of this channel. I mean, not only obviously all the numbers that have been talked about how highly engaged this channel is, the amount of consumption of the content and the time, within gaming compared to streaming and social media and other areas. You're knowing that your brands are, I think, understanding and seeing now that they can reach incremental audiences and reach an audience that's highly engaged, highly attentive, and within that experience. I think also the fact that they're able to um, apply the different targeting parameters that they want to
Mhm.
apply to this channel, so be able to reach those audiences and target them in specific functions, and as well as being able to create more customized experiences for their brand. So, I think the ability to work within these immersive gameplay environments and have their brand be seen as a positive aspect of that environment through the
Hmm.
ability to do that is really giving some positive feedback and positive, like, brand recall for these advertisers with the audiences that they're trying to reach. So definitely seeing some ROI from that aspect.
Nice. All right, so now I have a question for the both of you. Is it possible to have quality activation at scale when it comes to in-game advertising? This misperception says that it is difficult, but looking at this from a programmatic lens, is that indeed true? We'll start with you, Andrew. Can you elaborate on why or why not?
Yeah, kind of. I think it definitely is. I think going back to what I was saying before is the ability to reach, kind of the way same digital media in general on display and mobile and other areas. We've gone from this area of direct, like working with one publisher and reaching a certain amount of scale or a certain amount of audience or achieving a certain number of impressions. But now with programmatic and the ability to seamlessly have access to, twice the amount of audience and twice the amount of supply that you're able to reach. So the ability to reach that audience or serve that unique quality ad experience across hundreds of games, if not thousands of games, compared to maybe working one-on-one with a publisher or one-on-one with a game to do this larger collaborative thing, which can still be done today and is being done, with a lot of brands and a lot of partners. But the ability to activate that audience at scale through programmatic and the targeting options that are available, and the ability to seamlessly reach that supply is definitely, I think, a positive that we're seeing for brands today.
Okay. Any thoughts, Aditi?
Yeah, Andrew hit it on the nail in terms of diversifying your audience mix, understanding your media mix overall. And I think that with us, like, we've built out a huge inventory of that premium gaming titles, right? Stretching across game genres, imagining new sports games, simulation, strategy, adventure, racing. And so all of this is now accessible programmatically with some of the biggest name DSPs near you, right? The Trade
Hmm.
Desk, Yahoo, StackAdapt, Adelphic, Undertone, all these guys are now slinging in game inventory. And it's time to start purchasing it. And I think that these connection paths allow for big brand, but big budget advertisers, as well as really small ones, to reach usually a diverse audiences with these segmentation and targeting capabilities that Andrew's talking about. And so, just like you have workflow guides and activation guides for all of your native display, CTV, video, buys, guess what? You got that for in-game too, right? You have in-game activation guides on how to get those get access to that inventory and how to set these things up. So I think what we need to do is maybe like educate folks, especially trading teams, on what those activation points are, how things will become transparent. And additionally, DSPs, they have a suite of tools, like planning tools, forecasting tools, for audience tools that could ultimately be leveraged to uh, understand, estimate output of reach, things like that. And I should also mention, there's interesting conversations around UID too, DMPs, clean rooms, hashed emails, and discussions that will come into play in terms of what is addressability and how do we make this something that will be standardized. And so I think we're learning every single day, but just like any other programmatic buys that you have, you really need those hands-on keyboard folks to kind of come on board and start testing and playing and see that it is possible. You have to just know where to look.
All right. Now, you literally just mentioned some amazing functionality when it comes to like how to activate, right, from the buy side. But can you help shed some light more so on the accessibility of in-game advertising programmatically?
Yeah, sure. So whenever you have like a quote unquote like emerging channel and it comes to market, it's gonna go through like a validation process, right? So first you have to prove out concept and you have to adhere to those like inner workings of existing channels and figure out the rules and regulations that they're gonna abide by. So when we niche and we look at the marketing landscape and skip and identify points of opportunity that exist across to strengthen and put forth and develop standards that then you can put into existing open RTB protocol, right? And IAB spec and things like that. Then the work that we can do as part of IAB Tech Lab, working groups, and being able to understand what is bin enrichment, then we can maybe send pertinent info like game genre, game rating, things that really level up and make accessing intrinsic in-game ads not just with zero fraud or maximum directness or transparency, but you can also start doing this at scale. And so, also, there's some things that you have to consider while activating, right? This is a little bit more technical, but in traditional display advertising, there's ad markups that are rendered when with web views or iframes within a browser. And so, when an ad markup is loaded, the browser executes all of those included elements, such as validation metrics like tracking tags, tracking pixels, and also JavaScript. And so this allows for seamless integration and functionality of that ad with all of its components working together as intended, right? So then publishers can track ad performance and gather necessary metrics for optimization and billing and all of these things. But in contrast, programmatic in-game ads, we have to work within the constraints of the game and the gaming engine. And so
Mhm.
as a result, right, these complex ad markups that you would see that relies on JavaScript based solutions for actually rendering and measuring that ad, it hurts the user experience and can lead to a lot of discrepancies, rendering issues, and also these like slow load times, right? So you have to mitigate these problems and think about them intentionally to have in game advertising to be clean, straightforward. And what we want is seeing straightforward ad markups without JavaScript that provide easy access to ad creative URL, ad tracking pixel creatives, and vast as and the native ad format such has these types of qualities, ensuring that ads can be effectively displayed, tracked within any game environment without actually like compromising that performance or that experience, right? So what I mean to say, after my long-windedness, is there's already a lot of DSPs and folks like Equative that are taking massive strides to make gaming an accessible channel. And it'll take several years and lots of collaboration between the buy side and the sell side and the traders and the agencies and conversations like this to make it come into full opportunity and value. But the things that we need to get there are being worked on right now.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Now, one of the things about this research was that really was a big highlight was all about measurement. And you can't really talk about measurement these days without mentioning attention. So I want to wrap up today's discussion with a final question for the both of you. Why is gaming in well positioned is why is gaming in a well positioned place um, to help us move towards attention in the media planning and buying?
Who's going first?
I guess, Aditi, can you answer that first?
Yeah, sure. Everyone's gaming. I myself wasn't necessarily a gamer. I'm a programmatic person working in ad tech, right? And gaming is a niche that I chose to. I wanted to niche. I chose this. Anzu chose me, but I just got Xbox Game Pass and the controller, and I'm super super excited. And so I see it in myself, and I see it in the customers. I see it in the numbers. We've all seen these numbers, but um everyone's gaming, attention is there. When you're gaming, you're not doing anything else. And so it's very obvious that where there are eyeballs, there are dollars. And there's also measurement, brand lift partners, people like Lumen who are working on these things.
All right, Andrew, any thoughts?
Yeah, as a gamer who moved into the programmatic world, opposite of Aditi, it was exciting to see, to add on to what Aditi said, like obviously this is a highly engaged, highly consumed channel. You're seeing the numbers of comparison to streaming and CTV, as well as social media, and obviously the growth. Gaming isn't slowing down. I mean, it's exponentially growing. I think also, the uniqueness of gaming is that from an attention standpoint, compared to like CTV, is that what when your ad is being shown within a game, that person is engaged in the game and paying attention. Unless obviously the game is paused. Whereas in CTV, an ad's running and someone could be running to the kitchen to turn the stove off, or checking out their window. So
Yeah.
there that person is going to be engaged. That user is completely in attention at that moment. So definitely an area where companies that are focused on that, and Equative and Anzu are also trying to understand how to measure that better for brands and agencies. Is going to become, I think, the key metric. Clicks um, and CTR are important, but I think attention, engagement, brand recall, especially in an environment like gaming, can become just as equally an important of a metric. And then also, obviously, the ability to reach, the different targeting options that we've talked about, and the ability to reach different user segments, different genres, and be able to focus on those specific audiences, people who are, specifically into racing games or specifically into sports games, so that you can ensure that you're reaching the audiences that are specifically in those channels and specifically engaged in those channels, because at the end of the day, as a brand where your audiences fit into those buckets. So the ability to
Mhm.
reach them when they're highly engaged in that moment versus in display, where I think display has always been a channel that is not a sexy channel, and in-game advertising, I think, can do all the things and achieve all the things that display at the end of the day is I think starting to fall short in a lot of ways.
Nice.
And and I
Go
think
ahead.
like the thing is, it's not about advertising to a gamer. It's advertising to the person who happens to be also gaming at that time,
Yes.
right? So you have to think about the audience being a father, a financial planner, someone who's into cars, and that they're a gamer at that same time. So if everyone's becoming a gamer, then we're all gamers, and so then we're all the audience. That's sort of my thoughts around this. Thank you so much, Derek.
Well, thank you. And that's actually, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not that we're advertising to gamers, or we're advertising to someone who is playing games. And I think that that's important because we all play these different roles. And so there's clearly an opportunity for us to be able to get these brands in front of um, a variety of people. And so, great place to stop. I really appreciate both of you, Andrew and Aditi, for taking out the time and sitting down with me and sharing and providing so much great information. And so, with that being said, thank you all for watching. I'm Derek J. Smith, and we'll see you next time.